Asked not to be voted for a contestant this morning. In his new role as a VPE, he has decided to speak on what are sometimes speakers' greatest fears. So please welcome Gary Ratcliffe.
My hands are full. I brought water because my allergies are acting up, so I may have to take a drink. And thank you for that, I really appreciate it. So, I enjoy public speaking. I enjoy being in the front of the room. My wife says that since I'm an only child, I like being the center of attention, which some of this could be true. People have often said, Gary, you make it look so easy when you're up there. You appear confident, you appear poised, you look like you're a natural. However, if any of us has ever spoken anywhere before, I am sure that we all get nervous to some degree. Right now, my hands are moist. That's one of the telltale symptoms. My heart rate really doesn't increase. Butterflies in my stomach, not so much. Uncontrollable shakes, God, I hope not. That would just be absolutely horrible. When I was in the military, I had folks, I was in charge of training, and I had to schedule people to come up and speak. I would have people go on vacation, they would go to sick call, they would have flat tires, their cars would break down, they would do anything not to speak. So the topic of my talk this morning is really trying to control your fear. It's from the Better Speaker series. And I decided to do this because in the new role of VP of Education, this is something that if it happens to me, I would suspect it happens to others as well. The programs are able to be downloaded for free. That's what I did. I don't like to spend a whole lot of money unless I have to. But those are some things out there that you can, and there's a whole series of things. I don't have any visual aids because fear is often internal. So if you download these, there's just several series, there's a complete series of things that'll help you get over some of the things that may be challenging. Some of the things that cause us to have some of the fear are new and unknown situations, especially that first speech. First time you get up there, you're nervous, you're like, oh God, they're looking at me. What are they going to think about me? One thing that Paul Detlef said once, he doesn't use notes, and I thought that was the greatest thing in the world because I often do. He said, no one knows if you mess up. You're the only one that really knows, so that's a very good point. Risk of failure. We all, by nature, generally want to do good. So having that we may mess up while we're up there, that could cause some of those fears to come into fruition. Potential for appearing foolish. I can understand that, but I like to be up here. I like the self-deprecating humor because it gets the audience involved. And it makes my speech not so nebulous. I didn't cheat this time. Possibility of boring the audience. That's tough to do sometimes depending on your topic. But if you try to stay engaged and look at people, you can kind of get an understanding of if they're totally bored, if they're checking their cell phone, if they're writing, or kind of staring off into the distance, or are they looking at you? So those are some things that will kind of give you a clue about what's happening in your audience. And then you can adjust your speech accordingly. Some ways to manage anxiety. Experience. Give more speeches. Get up in front of people and talk. I like the more speeches where I just get called on and I don't necessarily know. Just get up and speak. But practice in front of a mirror. Here's one that would be hard for me. Rehearse in front of family and friends. They don't care if they hurt your feelings. They will tell you exactly what's wrong and more than probably you wanted to know about. Here's a novel one. Deliver a speech before your Toastmasters club. Right? Give presentations before other groups anywhere you can. Churches, what do you call the places where you go? Chambers of commerce. Any place that you can speak. You just get the opportunity to go up and speak. And eventually those fears, you'll still have them, but I guarantee, for me, within about the first 30 seconds, all that stuff goes away anyway. And then you're absolutely fine. Some other things that'll help you get over some of these fears: visualization. I like to lift weights. I know it doesn't show it now, but when I was younger, I was fairly decent at it. My biggest fear in lifting weights was the squat. And people would say, well, how much weight do you have on there? Well, once you start counting the weight and doing all these other things, you get inside your own head and you just can get very, very nervous and you don't do as well. So what I always tried to do was, one, I never counted the weight. As you relate that to speaking, don't worry about what the audience thinks. Do what you do best. The other thing is visualize. When I did the squat, I would go through the entire process in my head several times, and I would often do better. Do the same thing for your speech. Practice in your mind your introduction to the audience. You walk up to the lectern confidently. Or just hold your head up and they don't know if you're not confident. Breathe deeply several times. That will relax you. One thing that I used to do was tense your entire body and then relax. That tends to relieve a lot of the stress as well. Some other things you can do is some relaxation techniques. Walk around at first. What are some other things? Stand, inhale, stretch your arms toward the ceiling. That'd be look a little weird in here because people say, what are you doing? Hold your arms out to the side. Do whatever you can to actually relax and help you get over your speech. One thing I always try to think is, if you can see it and you can believe it, you can definitely do it. And even if you do all of this, you're probably still going to have some nervousness. But as I said earlier, as my brother from another mother, Paul says, no one knows, so why worry about it? So again, practice, speak whenever you can, get up in front of the group and just go for it, and we will all do great. Miss Tosin.